Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fancast. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, definitely not Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links to not only this show, but some of our other shows like Cinematic Adventures and MF Uncensored. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul, and today I am joined by two variants of the multiverse, two hosts that are not supposed to be here, but they are because Ronnie sucks, and I said it. And that is, from Cinematic Adventures, we have Sean. Sean, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Ronnie does not suck. I will stand by that to my grave.
All right, then. So we have one co-host that's already wrong. But anyway, we also have, from the YouTube side, our friend BlindBat8719, Brendan. Brendan, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Sean. Paul, dang it. Oh, God, it's been my third coffee. No.
All right.
And so many variants. I never know which one I'm talking to.
I'm always hosting. We should always be concerned if I'm not hosting.
Okay, just end the episode right now. It's not going to get any better than that.
Full send right now. Nailed it.
Oh, no.
But we are glad to be here. We're glad to have some of our other co-hosts jump in, and always happy to have Brendan, I guess. But anyway, so we're going to change it up today. We're not going to speak specifically on a movie or TV show. We are actually going to do a little topical discussion, a little debate, hopefully, and just something to, kind of just argue with each other, because that's what we do here at Multiverse Fancast. We argue. Or just kidding. Actually, Ronnie and I usually have the same opinion. It's weird. But we are going to be talking about some of the best and worst in the superhero casting category. So we're going to be looking at superhero films throughout the entire ages. It can be movies, we can also do some TV shows if we have some actors that jump to mind, and we're going to argue who we think are some of the best and who are some of the worst. We're going to do it as a roundtable discussion. Everybody's going to get a chance to kind of throw a good and a bad out there. We'll discuss, and then we'll move on to another one. So we're not just going to bash one actor, Ryan Reynolds, for the entire episode. Which is ironic, because Ryan Reynolds, some of them are best and worst. Like, some of them have done both the best of a character and the worst. And Ryan Reynolds is a perfect example.
Yes.
Like, you got your Deadpool, which is awesome, and he nailed it. Then you got your Green Lantern, which why? Why did it happen? Sad face. But we're going to go around, and I think I will start it off with best casting. I'm going to throw this out there, and I want to hear especially Sean's thoughts. And that is Christopher Reeve as Superman. We're going to start off with, I don't want to say an easy one, but just one that when you think Superman, as much as we love Henry Cavill, and I have autographs from Tyler Hoechlin and Tom Welling on the wall right now, both in their Superman attire, when you think Superman, Christopher Reeves is just the guy. He comes to mind. He embodied that character in every capacity, every part of him, from his smile to his mannerisms to the way that he spoke to the way he differentiated between Superman and Clark Kent. He was perfection. The movies themselves after the second one are not perfection. However, you will never see, I don't think anybody can actually say a bad thing about Christopher Reeves as Superman. So we'll go to Brendan first. Brendan, thoughts on Christopher Reeves Superman?
I think you did hit it on the nail with that, because anytime somebody new gets cast as Superman, they always get compared right away to Christopher Reeves. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you look at, like, say, Batman, nobody really right away compares everybody to Michael Keaton. They sometimes they jump around more. Or they might change who you're comparing it to, whereas you don't have that issue when it comes to Superman. You get somebody new. They cast somebody new. Did they announce that the James Gunn is putting into as the new Superman in his new universe?
Yeah, they announced who's playing Superman in the new Superman Legacy. Do you remember, Sean?
Well, they look it up, but
I don't know.
But yeah, while you guys are looking it up, but again, you probably see what's the first thing they probably did. How much is this guy going to be like Christopher Reeves? How much does he look like he's the right height? Like that? How many people are talking like, how fit was Christopher Reeves for the role and whatnot? So I think, yeah, if you have to, if he's the one, he's the high watermark that everybody else after him has been compared to. You can't say that about a lot of other roles.
It's David Corenswet. I'm not very familiar with him. He's got the look of Superman, but it's
again, we probably don't really know him that well, because DC will probably want to do the thing of get a relatively unknown
He's
who's a good
very
actor,
unknown.
so this way he's cheap, and then when you get the movie 10, then he's expensive.
Yeah, he Hollywood was his big one. He was in the Netflix show Hollywood. That was probably his biggest claim to fame around here anyway. Sean, thoughts on Christopher Reeve Superman?
I mean, we've beaten this topic to death in terms. At least I have. I stand by that. I think the original Richard Donner Superman film is the best superhero movie ever made. Without that movie, we are not doing what Marvel and DC are not doing what they do now. That, yeah, it's probably one of the most iconic casting choices ever because he was an unknown actor. He was literally on stage. He had not really done any work on film. I mean, he just happened to be found by the director, and it was just one of those lightning in a bottle type things. And there's not much more you really can say about it. It's, to me, he is the greatest actor to play that character. No disrespect to the other actors who have played the character. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just not saying they're as good as Christopher Reeve has been, and he is the one that, I mean, honestly, until Henry Cavill, that was it. I mean, you had, why am I blanking? Dean Cain on TV. You had Tom Welling on TV. Brandon Routh did his one movie, but he was made to look like Christopher Reeve.
Right.
He was cast because he looked like Christopher Reeve. So was Tom Welling. Henry Cavill was the first one where it was like, I don't want you to look like Christopher Reeve, but you have to kind of embody that character in what the comics look like, and they did that. So, it's hands down, I think it's the greatest movie casting in superhero movies of all time.
All right.
No disagreement for me on that one.
So, ironically, we're starting off at the highest pinnacle. Like, this is perfection. All right.
That's an easy one.
Easy one. I wanted to start off, just kind of set the tone. Let's go, Brendan. A perfect superhero casting from you.
A perfect superhero casting. I was already I had more trouble trying to figure out who my worst one was. My favorite superhero casting.
You can do your worst one if you want.
No, I want to stick on the positive note. I'm gonna go with Captain America, Chris Evans.
Oh.
Yeah, because I feel like he did a great job of embodying what the characters and have that arc. I remember watching a video about kind of talking about like even Offset when they're doing like the promos and whatnot on the talk shows. He acts like Steve Rogers in much the same way that when he's not filming, Robert Downey Jr. acts like Tony Stark would. So I think with Chris Evans, with his arc and everything as Captain America in all those films, I think he ended up being the right choice, even though people were like questioning it because he didn't do as well as Johnny Storm the first time around.
Right.
So I think that to me, I think is a one that ended up being like one of the better ones that out there. You're like, yeah, that's like, it's so hard now to like see a comic book now of a comics only like the not the MCU, the ultimate, let's say the ultimate comic version of Captain America. Like, that's not how Steve Rogers looks. He's so much of that character.
Right. I'm going to agree. And I was of the opposite camp when that first got announced. Sean remembers.
Oh yeah, that was
like
he was steadfast. Like, I do not agree with this casting.
And it wasn't until we watched the movie The Losers that I was like, okay, I could kind of get behind, Johnny Storm being Captain America, the guy from Not Another Teen Movie being Captain America. So I definitely needed to warm up to it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I agree. Like, he doesn't necessarily completely look like Steve Rogers from the comic books, like, traditional blonde-haired, blue-eyed, type all-American boy, but like he embodied the role. Like, he physically got there and just he owned the character. It was all him. Like, he created that role, or he like curated that role towards himself, and he did a great job. Sean, Chris Evans, thoughts?
No, I totally agree. As much as it's funny looking back and watching just the stark difference between how he is in the Fantastic Four movies and what he became in the Captain America movies.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's great acting is what it is. And, I remember when his name was bandied around for Captain America, we were all like, how can you cast him? He's already been in a comic book movie. You can't cross.
Can't cross the streams.
You can't cross lines here, guys. Come on. There's got to be other people out there who could play this character. And, good thing for Marvel that they stuck to their guns and they cast him, because he's the glue. I mean, you could argue Robert Downey Jr. is the glue, but I think to me, Chris Evans is what held the Avengers and that this strain of the phase 1 and phase 2 of the Marvel movies together, because he was just stoic. He was, the perfect guy to run everything. And even when, he had to be on the opposite side of his friends, I mean, he stood fast with what he was doing, and it was just very well done. Very well done.
All right, let's rip somebody apart now. Let's talk worst
Oh, do I
superhero.
get one? I gotta get
Oh,
one.
sorry. Yeah, that's right, Sean. I got excited. All right, go ahead.
So I'm gonna do a group here because I think you'll agree with me. Everyone who has been cast as the Joker.
Ooh.
What?
Okay, hear me out. So you got Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
you got Mark Hamill as the voice in the cartoon, you got Heath Ledger, and you got Joaquin Phoenix. You cannot argue about Joaquin Phoenix. As the character, he's fantastic in the movie.
Oh, how's Jared Leto fit in there?
Oh, shit, I forgot about that.
I
know
why we're laughing.
We were really confused.
I forgot about Jared
So
Leto.
that's also
I
his
actually
worst
liked
casting.
him in the movie. Listen. Well, you're the one that says he was pretty good in his little appearance in the director's cut.
Well, so nobody's seen the Ayer cut. Like, it exists. It's very much in the same vein as the Snyder cut. Like, it exists and it's a thing.
Of the original Suicide movie?
The original Suicide Squad, yeah.
Okay.
And it is a completely different movie. Basically, the Ayer cut came out, and then they wanted to make Guardians of the Galaxy. That's why if you watch the trailers, they're very, like, Bohemian Rhapsody's playing. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy type. But the original movie was much darker, much bleaker, and it connected further into the Justice League stuff. I think at the end of the first movie, originally, Steppenwolf was supposed to appear as the one who was, like, actually controlling Enchantress the whole time. And yeah, so, and the same thing in Batman vs Superman in an extended cut, he does appear talking to Lex Luthor. That's how Lex Luthor knew that Darkseid was, or Steppenwolf was coming. So the movie's very, like, the Joker's an actual abusive monster in the original cut. Like, he smacks Harley Quinn around, like, he tries to kill her several times. Like, they romanticize that relationship a lot for the actual theatrical release. But yeah, it's a different beast that hopefully one day they do release. I'm surprised they haven't already. But
Yeah.
What do I know? I am not.
Well, I have to admit, when they first announced that they cast Jared Leto, I was not opposed to it because I actually think Jared Leto is a pretty decent actor.
Yeah, I think the script just didn't do him any favors.
Oh no. Well, okay, my bad. I forgot. I totally forgot about him. I'll be honest with you.
That's fine. Most people did, but we'll still give you the Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, and Mark Hamill points.
Thank you.
I won't give you the Joaquin Phoenix points because
You don't like the movie in the first place.
I did not like the Joker movie, and even though the sequel's coming out, I'm still just kind of meh. All right, now let's ruin somebody's life besides Jared Leto's because we just bashed him. Terrible superhero casting, and Sean's going to appreciate this one. This is a little deeper cut. Seth Rogen as the Green Hornet.
Ooh.
Yes, thank you.
God, I wanted to.
Made no sense.
I wanted to like that movie, and I think that the only reason he got it was because he pushed for it. Like he wanted to make the movie, which is hilarious because now Seth Rogen's behind. I think both
Turtles.
Invincible, Turtles, and The Boys. I definitely The Boy.
Invincible.
I don't know, maybe not Invincible, but definitely The Boys and the new Turtles movie,
yeah.
which is apparently very good. The Mutant Mayhem movie, supposedly it's very good.
Okay.
But yeah, like now he's got a good superhero resume. But oh my God, that movie came out and the movie sucked. He was poorly cast. Like they went more on the goofy Seth Rogen side. Like don't get me wrong, he slimmed down for it and he definitely put everything into it. But you can't fix a bad script and just poor casting. That combination, it doesn't matter how much passion you have, it's not going to last. Any thoughts, Seth Rogen?
I don't disagree. I have not seen that movie since we saw it in theaters, and probably never will watch it ever again.
Yeah, it's rough. There's like one or two moments that I chuckle at, but for the most part, it is just a rough movie. All right, Brennan, terrible superhero casting. Hit me.
I'm still racking my brain. I guess the ones that popped. I mean, if I'm gonna go for an easy cop out, you could argue might be. I would go with Keanu Reeves as Constantine. Besides the hair color change, from what I understand, like they made the whole thing as not. I don't know. That's the one I'm going with because I think maybe the hair is not the right color. I guess because I just can't think of someone where I'm like, I'm never really good at judging what something's obviously bad or really bad. I'm trying to rack my brain for like what was obviously really bad choice. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, there's another one I'm debating about, but I'm like, I haven't actually seen the movie, the live action version of this thing, because most live action adaptations of comic book or comic properties are just poor choice in casting in the most part, I feel like. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Keanu Reeves being, didn't have the right swagger. I think he had the brooding part right for that. But if you look compared to like the Matt Ryan version, there's a little more of a cocksureness to him that it's like, and like, yeah, no, I get out of this, and he'll just weasel his way out of it with his magical luck powers and whatnot.
All right, I mean, I like the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie enough just because I'm a fan of the character. But yeah, he does not. They could have called it anything else, and it would have been the same.
I do like the movie as well. I just think maybe he wasn't the exact right choice.
Shawnee?
I can't really speak to it. I'll be honest. I have not seen the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie. I know Paul is a big fan of that one. Obviously, the character in its own he loves. So I really can't speak to it. But that was kind of during Keanu Reeves' down period. Like, he really wasn't as big of a name as he used to be. So I don't know if, that was a reason why they could cast him or not. But I gotta end up watching that movie.
Yeah, you want to do a movie night? I'll watch that with you. But what's a casting choice that you're gonna bash?
I mean, I could go easy and pretty much everybody in Batman and Robin, or I could I'm trying to think of like one that's a little more fun to talk about, and I'm trying to gauge who would be the best one to do. Give me one sec. Probably gonna go with Ben Affleck as Daredevil.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
That's another movie that I don't hate it, but again, he was just strictly cast as being Ben Affleck. He just added nothing to that role, in my opinion.
That's fair. And like the movie's fine-ish. Like we did an episode about why they both that and Elektra suck. Elektra's just bad.
Yeah.
Daredevil had the bones of a decent movie somewhere in there, and there is a director's cut which is a little bit better. But yeah, for the most part, I'll give it to you. As much as I love Ben Affleck and I do think he's a great Batman, Sean rolled his eyes. I'm surprised you didn't say Ben Affleck as Batman.
I'm sorry, no, I really didn't.
No, I wasn't sure. I just had a stroke. But anyway, but for me, like I can get behind Ben Affleck as Batman still, and I'll still defend that. But as Daredevil, it's hard to defend. It's hard to defend that movie in general. Like the suit looks fine for the most part, and Colin Farrell just eats up the scenery. You can't go wrong with Colin Farrell. I love him so much. But all right, let's see. Another really good one. I'm trying to stay away from like the big ones, like your Hugh Jackman, your Robert Downey Jr.
I got one to throw at you, I think, because I was just thinking about this when I heard Colin Farrell. I'm like, wait, there's another Colin that was pretty good in a superhero-esque movie, and I think that was Colin Firth in Kingsman.
I can get behind that.
That's a solid one. I like that.
Yeah, I wasn't
Very much.
I didn't know the comics per se. And unfortunately, like the most recent movie, The Kingsman, was so bad.
Oh no!
Oh god, it was rough. Like the more I thought about it, like we watched that movie in its entirety in the theater. Then I tried to sit down and watch it again recently. I was like, this is just really bad, and it makes zero sense continuity wise. Like
I just remember when I saw the first one, because I think Colin Firth was more so either being a romantic lead or a serious role, because I think he just did the King's Speech recently before that. It makes it really confusing when you talk about his movies. And I was like, oh, wait, he's kind of playing a little more goofball-ish action hero thing that I wouldn't peg him for playing a role like that.
Right. And he slimmed down. He got into great shape for it. Like, and he did a lot of his own stunts. I know Sean's a big Colin Firth kind of guy.
I love Colin Firth. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, and the Kingsman movies, the first two are really good. The first one's the best.
Okay.
The second one is still really good, and I'm glad they brought him back, but it wasn't necessarily like the better movie. I don't know. It's a weird franchise.
Is that another movie you think that Ronnie would say that Channing Tatum got because of his good looks?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. He's actually pretty funny in it, and I don't know why everybody's being so mean. All right, let's see. I want to pick a good one, and like I said, I want to stay away from some of the biggest ones. Like, I don't know, it's tough for me. Like, you know what? I'll go with. Actually, I'm gonna go with a TV casting. I'm gonna go with Grant Gustin as the Flash.
Oh,
Grant Gustin took that. Like, as much as I wanted to like the movie, I wanted to like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I really wanted to, guys. I did. I walked into that movie excited, and I wanted to see it. oh god, I was so disappointed. And I still say one of the biggest gripes of that movie is they did not take advantage of the fact that they had a well-established and popular Flash that could have cameoed. And say what you will about the show had a lot of ups and downs, like a lot of ups and downs. But for the most part, Grant Gustin was never the problem. He embodied the character. He was always just like optimistic, and he was more like the Superman of the Arrowverse in that regards, like where he was like the hopeful optimist with all the
Yes.
superpowers and
Blue Lantern.
yeah. And Oliver Queen was more. I was going to go with Oliver Queen, but he had to. Stephen Amell had to grow into that role. Unfortunately, Grant Gustin already had some pretty solid acting chops, and he. I hate to say it, he took off running, but yeah. So I'm gonna go with some Grant Gustin on that one. And thoughts? Anybody? I know. I think I'm the only one that's. Yeah, I'm the only one that's watched the whole show.
I think also I think his performance is definitely raised after we saw just the hot mess that the movie was and the whole Ezra Miller experience. Because I remember when the movie was just coming out and the whole stuff was going on with him. That's when everybody came out of the woodworks going like, "Oh, we had Grant Gustin here and we didn't do anything with him." And I'm like, guys, this Ezra Miller's been basically cast as a character for 5 years. I've never heard anyone bitch this much until now. Like,
yeah. All right, Brendan, you got an iconic one, a good one that you really like?
Well, I was saying, I just said Colin Firth. I think about somebody else.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So Sean, you got anybody you wanna exalt?
I'm trying to go back a little ways, and I'm gonna go with Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
Solid, very solid.
And the Tim Burton version of the Penguin he works in. Now, if he were to be the Colin Farrell Penguin that we got in the Batman, I don't think it would have been as good. But the mutant character we got in Batman Returns, I thought Danny DeVito perfectly cast.
Oh yeah, I can't argue that one. As much as I do like Colin Farrell as Oz, it's a different type of movie. It really is. And like Danny DeVito just melts into that role and just he looks horrifying in that movie. Like that was the stuff of nightmares for kids. But
yeah, I remember that. Oh.
All right, let's pick a casting choice that we hated. You ready, Sean? Because we always talk about how we want to do this movie. Shaquille O'Neal as Steel. God, if you have not watched Steel is probably I rewatched it. I think it's on Max, and I rewatched it recently, and oh my God, the dad jokes in that are on par with the cold jokes in Batman and Robin. Like he actually says at one point, "It's hammer time." I kid you not. Like I would rather watch Kazam than watch Steel. Like it's just it's painful. He's a terrible actor. They basically they wanted somebody with some name recognition because Steel was a C-list character, even though this was in the 90s. This was the time where Superman had died and had now just come back. And like Steel was an established character in the comics, but oh my God, they could have hired so many other people to take that role, but woof, is it just bad. And I know, Sean, you've never seen Steel.
No, I saw it when I was a kid. I don't remember much about it though, and only until recently you couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, thank God for HBO Max.
I mean, again, I don't know. I feel like, again, going back to the lens of a kid who watched at the time, it was just a fun movie where something bad happened to the protagonist in the beginning of the movie. They had to reinvent themselves a little bit, and then they go out and get the guy who wronged them in the first place, and they beat them up. Like, that's a storyline that any 8-year-old boy is going to watch, and like, hey, it's Shaq. Because, after, like, Michael Jordan, like Shaq is up there with a list of people you think in terms of sports in the 90s. I mean, you would probably. I mean, I feel like Shaq would be above like Patrick Ewing, Malone, and like John Stockton. Like, who else was up after Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman?
It was Shaq, and Shaq was like mid '90s, late '90s. But yeah, he was behind Jordan and Pippen. But he had. I mean, it was him and Penny Hardaway. Those were like they were just as big of a duo as that. But oh my God, his little streak of movies there was just. Oh, it was painful. It was painful. Even his cameo in Good Burger was painful to watch.
Still better than the Good Burger 2. They
I
tried to
still haven't seen
reenact.
it.
They try and reenact that scene, and it was with they instead of just casting a celebrity to cameos themselves, they cast a celebrity to play another like a character in the movie, and I was like, why? All right, Brendan, do you have another really crappy one?
I think I'm just going to go with this one because I think it's more the. I think it being like I think it came out in 2021 or the culture and sensitivity a bit was like Scarlett Johansson as Major Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, yeah.
Scarlett Johansson's an amazing actress. I think she probably did a great job with the role. And I will admit I haven't seen the film yet because, again, it fell into that trap of a live-action adaptation of an animated project. Usually they miss the point of it and they just go by name recognition alone. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in this day and age, you can have a non-white person lead a role, especially as popular as Major Kusanagi, and they can do well with it. They could sell out the thing. Make somebody else, maybe make another character be the big name recognition in some regard, But like, I think that was one that they had a missed opportunity to find the next Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, thank you, Michelle Yeoh, for example, to be the next generation, of leading actresses, and whatnot. So I think that was something they definitely. They were trying to make the story work. Oh, it could be anybody, and you can make that argument. But if at this point, there are certain properties that they've been around so long that to make a change to that character's identity in some regards, you might as well just people. You are going to cause outrage among the fans, and you might as well just take the time to try to create a unique character than just do like, oh, carbon copy, but change the last name and maybe give him a little suntan. Like you got to stop doing stuff like that.
Sean, a character that you hated casting-wise?
Oh, that was Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
Ooh, hot take.
She was overrated. Except for the first movie, I just felt like she really didn't add much to the franchise.
Wow, all right.
Yeah. But watching the Dark Phoenix movie and she literally gets killed 5 minutes in, I was like, thank God.
Well, she was done with the franchise. Like after the second movie, she openly was like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm in contract.
Yeah. But that's the thing. She and I'll be honest, she hasn't done anything really of substance, in a while. So but that was one that I liked it in the first movie and then kind of as you went on, but as with all those X-Men movies after First Class, they just kind of went downhill.
I still love Days of Future Past. I know you're not a big a fan.
No, Days of Future Past was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean's not a big fan of it. All right, we got time for one more good, one more bad each. All right, so start thinking because I have a fun bad one that Sean's going to argue with me. But let me do one last good one because I've done a lot of DC. I'm going to do a Marvel, and this is an interesting one because I don't like I don't like the show, but I love the casting. And that's John Barenthal as Frank Castle, a.k.a. the Punisher.
Ah.
John Barenthal is one of those actors that he's not, like, he doesn't get his due very often, and he's really good. Like, but he's good he does a lot of small roles. Like, he was in Baby Driver and The Wolf of Wall Street for he's in both those big movies that do really well, and he's in it for like a total of 10 minutes. Both those movies. And I love every minute that he's in. So he's one of those actors that can be funny, he can be dramatic, he can be a tough guy, he can, do all that stuff. So I really do enjoy him. And he, as much as I wasn't a big fan of the Punisher show per se, but the second season I liked much better than the first season. But he kills it, and he really does a great job. The scenes of him and Daredevil are fantastic. So I'm a big fan. I'm going to do my bad one too. So I'll do a good and a bad, and then you guys can too. And here's my bad one. I want to hear Sean's thoughts. Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. I will stand on that hill. I get it. I get why some people thought it was funny and all that stuff, and some people really do enjoy the Mandarin twist, and then they make fun of it in Shang-Chi. But oh my God, when they did that, that would be like if the Joker...
When that Liverpool accent comes up, I just remember Paul going like, "What?"
That would be like if towards the end of Batman, Joker wipes off his face makeup and he's like, "Just kidding, I'm actually Alfred the whole time." Wait, what? Like,
I hate that comic joke as well. I've seen that in the comics. I'm like, that's terrible.
For me, as I'm not even like the biggest Mandarin fan. Like I was never like a Mandarin purist, but not even an Iron Man. Like I'm like a lot of kids. I knew of Iron Man growing up, but the movies are what made him popular. Like he was a C-list character. Same with, and he had C-list villains. But yeah, it was for the fans. It was a rough kind of casting. But I love Ben Kingsley. I really do. And you can put him in a movie and I'll enjoy it. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that choice. All right, Brendan, a good and a bad to close it out.
You got me a little bit inspired there. So I'm actually going to pick for what was a great one. I think it was end up being a great surprise. Stephen Ewan as Glenn Reeve from Walking Dead.
Okay, all right, that's a comic book property. That's right.
Yeah, so I thought that was it's like again he started out as a nobody in the character, but then to see him grow and he just kept getting better and better. They kind of played with the character a little too much in the last season with that one, but I thought that was a really surprising choice. Surprising? I just thought it ended up being something that it was a bet they made and it paid off really well in that show. So I think that would be one that I would say ended up being a really great choice casting. In terms of bad, again, my problem is I usually love everything I see for the most part, and it's hard for me to find the bad in anything. So, I'm gonna say I have nothing for you for right now. I'm gonna kick it over to Sean if I think of something. I'm sorry, Sean, for cutting down on your time there, but
no, you good, man.
I'll give you a little more time to think of something bad, maybe.
All right, Sean.
I got for my good, and Paul will definitely agree with me on this. Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor.
Ooh, yeah, good one.
Arguably the best Lex Luthor I think we've seen in any property. Maybe, again, if you like Gene Hackman, which I do, I enjoy Gene Hackman's take on the character, but we agree we don't care for Kevin Spacey. We don't care for Jesse Eisenberg. You've grown on John Cryer, correct? In his
I did enjoy what they did with him. And then Superman and Lois had another actor.
Another guy who was a very good actor.
Played Abraham, I think, in The Walking Dead, the redhead.
Oh, yes.
I forget his name, but he was very menacing in Superman and Lois.
But for the 7 years that Michael Rosenbaum was on Smallville, I mean, you and me would converse and just be like, wow, this guy is just...
Michael Kuditz is the actor.
Really good. I mean, like... He was so perfect at, 1 second being just that nice guy who, you could trust to have your back. And on a dime, he turns into this egomaniacal, just sociopath. And you just watch this character go from beginning to end and become this, maniacal evil genius. I mean, it really was a great character arc, because I remember when that show first came out, it was like, oh, Lex Luthor is Clark's friend, and we're just like, what? How's that going to work? But they did a great job with that. In terms of bad casting, I'm going to go with Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes in Batman Begins.
Ooh.
I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Just she added nothing to that. And I'll be honest, Maggie Gyllenhaal, in my opinion, didn't do much better in Dark Knight either. I just thought that character was just poorly written and just kind of got annoying, very quickly. So either or, I'd take it or leave it on both of them as that character.
All right, Brendan, you got anything else before we close it out? He's got his thinking face on. For those of you guys who don't know.
Yeah. No.
Ben Affleck is Batman.
Shut up,
Ben
Sean.
Affleck. No, I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was really good with that one.
Shut up, Sean. You're in the minority here. Shut up.
Nope, I'm sorry. I didn't do the homework for 3. I only did homework for 2.
Oh, man. All right. Well, no worries. We hope you guys enjoyed having a little bit of variety on the show, even though, they didn't bring much to the table. That's fine. Sean, shut up. But anyway, that is going to wrap us up for today. Don't forget, if you guys are looking for more of our content, you can check out our website, themisfitfaction.com. You can also find links to all of our other shows, like if you want more Sean, Cinematic Adventures, that's the place to go. If you want more me talking to random people, MF Uncensored. And of course, our good friend Brendan's on there for his YouTube channel if you're into Magic the Gathering. So make sure you guys check out all of that on our website. We also have news, reviews, articles, and more there. And we're on all the social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is. Just type in the Multiverse Fancast or Misfit Faction, and odds are you'll find some of our stuff. But that is going to wrap us up for today. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Brendan.
And I'm not Ronnie.
And we'll be back in a flash. Oh, Ronnie's not here. See ya. Nailed it.